welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is good, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and thank you for joining me for another video here on the channel. Today, of course, is our Hot 10 breakdown of the week. If you guys aren't familiar with what I do in this video, I take the 10 hottest comics according to the Key Collector app, and I break them down for you guys, letting you know which I'd be buying, and of course, which I'd be staying away from. But before we get started, like always, I want to remind you guys, if you're not a current subscriber of the channel, do me a favor, click that sub button for me, smash that like button as well. It really does help the channel out. If you're interested, check out all the new merch I have for sale down below. You will love it. With that said, let's get into this week's breakdown. Starting off the list this week at number 10 is a copy of Hawkman number 4 and the first appearance of Zatanna in a CGC super high grade 9.6, just sold the prior week for $78,000, up a crazy 584% since the last sale. Then we had a CGC 4.0 sale for $505, up 3% over that average. Then we had a lowly CGC 3.5 for $475, up 10% over that average. I actually really enjoy this character, and I would love to see it done right on the big screen, but right now I'm not really putting any money into these DC keys. There's a lot of speculation going on. Who knows, we may end up seeing Zatanna in something sooner rather than later, but I'm not banking on that fact, especially the way all these movies are going right now. I'm staying away. Coming in at number 9 this week is a copy of Watchmen number 1, the premiere issue of a 12-issue series that explores the dark side of superheroes from a realistic and flawed perspective, and a CGC 9.8 just sold last week for $925, up a crazy 42% over that average. I will say this series is an incredible read. If you haven't read it, please do yourself a favor and get on top of it. However, it's really not an investment book that I want to spend money on, but if you do want to own the set, I do think it's worth owning because it is such a classic read. But other than that, I'm staying away. At the 8th spot this week is a copy of Detective Comics number 359 and the first appearance and origin of Batgirl Barbara Gordon in a CGC 5.5, just sold the prior week for $975, up 12% over that average. Then we had a CGC 4.0 sale for $639, up 7% over the average. Then we had a lowly CGC 2.0 for $372, up 7% over that average. This to me is one of the underrated Silver Age keys there are in DC, and I actually love the cover as well. I'm definitely a buyer of this book, but I want to stay at a 4.0 or higher. That's just my personal preference. I would not be spending $400 on a 2.0 grade. I do not think that's worth it unless you just want to own the book. Regardless, it's definitely a buy from me. Coming in at number 7 this week was our best buy of the week last week. It is a copy of Batman number 181 and the first appearance of Poison Ivy, Pamela Isley, and a CGC 9.8, a near perfect copy of this book, just sold for $96,000, up 7% since 2020. Then we had a CGC 5.5 sale for $1,070, up 18% over that average. Then we had a CGC 3.5 sale for $500, up 2% over that average. You guys know I say it all the time. This is one of my Silver Age Batman keys that I want to own along with 121. This is a must-own book, but I'm only buying it with the pinup and it's complete, no resto. That's the way to go, but I'm always a buyer. Coming in at the 6th spot is another massive DC key. It is a copy of House of Secrets number 92 and the first appearance of Swamp Thing, Alec Olson, the original Swamp Thing, and a CGC 9.0 just sold last week for $5,160, up only 2% over that average. Then we had a Slab 6.5 sale for $1,900, up 5% over that average. Then we had a CGC 3.0 sale for $865, up a massive 20% over that average. Whenever I see these lower grades going up for higher percentages, that seems to tell me that a lot of the people out there who don't want to spend a crazy amount of money on these books, they're buying the lower grades and they're doing so at higher prices. Either way, you guys know I love this book, one of the better DC keys that I want to buy. It is a Bronze Age book, but a book I will always looking to get. Coming in at the 5 spot is some John Romita goodness. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 41 and the first appearance of the Rhino, and of course this classic John Romita cover. And a CGC 8.0 just sold the prior week for $1,440, up 4% over that average. Then we had a CGC 6.0 sale for $677, up 21% over that average. Then we had a CGC 4.0 sell for $385, up 10% over that average. You guys know I absolutely love this book. I know it's not an investment book. For any Spider-Man fan out there, it is a must-own and a classic cover when we're talking about the Rhino. For me, I'm always a buyer of this book. However, right now with the prices inflated a little bit, I'm staying away from this one, even though I definitely think it's a must-own. Regardless, if you like Spider-Man, you got to own this book. And here we are talking about must-own books. At the 4th spot this week is a copy of Star Wars number 43 and the first appearance of Lando Calrissian in a standard U.S. comic. This is also the second Boba Fett in a standard U.S. comic. We had a CGC 9.8 that just sold last week for $330, up 12% over that average. You guys know I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, and I don't do the modern books. The reason why this book is on this list, because right now the Prowler himself, the character who's going to portray that character in the upcoming Spider-Man movies, he is going to be writing a new installment for Lando Calrissian on Disney+. I'm looking forward to that. One of the characters that I actually enjoy from Star Wars. Regardless, am I spending over $300 on a 9.8 copy? Probably not. This is a book you just want to own the book if you're a Star Wars fan. But hey, even at a 9.8, I still think it's pretty cheap at around $300. But there's no need to spend the money. But I'm not a buyer at that price. Coming in at number 3 this week is another classic cover. It is a copy of Incredible Hulk number 340 and the iconic cover by the great Todd McFarlane. One of the best covers he has ever done. And a CGC 9.6 just sold last week for $422, up 3% over that average. You guys know when we talk about Copper Age books, for the most part, if they're affordable in a 9.8, that's where I really want to own them. I'm not saying you shouldn't go out and buy this book. If you're interested, it will always hold the test of time. One of the best comic book covers that have ever been drawn. Regardless, I'm not buying this book right here, right now for the amount it's going for. I really can get a nice, very fine copy for around $40 to $50. Now all of a sudden, this book is shot through the roof. I love to own it in a 9.8, but I just don't want to shell out the cash. It's a no-go for me at these prices. Down 1 spot this week at number 2 is a copy of Wolverine number 1 and this classic cover by the great Frank Miller and the first solo Wolverine title, albeit in a limited series. And a CGC 9.8 newsstand copy just sold last week for $1,650, up a whopping 29% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.6 direct edition sell for $407, up 50% over the average. To me, I'm shocked that this book is still at the top spot, and to be honest, still on this list. I know it's a classic cover, it's a beautiful looking copy. In fact, it's one of the first books that I bought when I got back into collecting back in 2018. Right now though, am I going to spend anywhere from $200 to $400 just to own this book? I think your money is better spent elsewhere. Buy a mid-grade to very fine copy for cheap if you can find one, just to have in the collection. Other than that, I'd be staying away. And at the top spot this week and finally making its way to number 1 is a copy of New Mutants 98 and the first appearance of Deadpool, a subject of the Weapon X program, and a CGC 9.8 just sold last week for $1,900, up 25% over that average. I can't believe we just had a $1,900 sale for this book in a 9.8. I've been telling you guys that it's really worth around $1,500. We just had a sale last week for about $1,650. Now we have a $1,900 sale. For me, something's fishy or someone really overpaid for this book. Regardless, I think it's a book if you want to own. I only want to own it in a 9.8, and for that fact, I only want to pay about $1,500, so I'm not a buyer right here, right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this list this week. Finally, some new books on the list. I was really encouraged and happy to see some new stuff finally appearing. Again, some of the same Wolverine 1, the New Mutants 98. Shocked that I made the #1 spot, but regardless, it's a book I want to own. I just can't spend that money it's going for right now. Wait for it to die down and then snap it up. It is now time for my best buy of the week, and I'm going to go with House of Secrets number 92 and the first appearance of Swamp Thing. Now, there are a lot of great Silver Age books on this list, and usually silver trumps bronze, but because Swamp Thing is a major character, I'm putting that one ahead of the likes of the first Poison Ivy, the first Batgirl, and so on and so forth. To me, I just think it's a really unique book, a major character to boot, so that's the one I went with. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this list. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.